11 races down, one race to go. It was back in April of this year that the third season of the Prototype Cup Germany commenced. The snow was falling, the rain was coming down as well. Eventually, the racing never went ahead, and instead the season opened at the Sachsenring at the end of May. And it was there that we saw Marcus Pommer and Valentina Catalano take the opening race of the season, winning in style. They had 6 more podiums after that, but they didn't take another win. That was until yesterday, and what a time to win their second race of the season, because in doing so yesterday they moved themselves to the top of the points standings, and with one race left in Prototype Cup Germany, they are now in the box seats to take the championship. Yesterday, Chiano Alizari scored pole position. And once again today, he is on pole position, his 5th pole position of the season. Yesterday, he braked late into turn 1, went deep, surrendered the lead, eventually came home in 2nd place. Valentina Catalano took over from Marcus Pommer at the wheel of car number 70 for Gebhard Motorsport, the Decane D08, and moved to the top of the championship. It was a torrid day for Danny Sufi and Torsten Kratz. They surrendered their championship lead after a difficult race yesterday, coming home in 5th place, and they now trail by 4 points. And the pink BWT Muka Motorsport Duquesne with Julian Apostolos, and for this race to start off with, Riccardo Cirelli at the wheel, 3rd in the championship, 16 points adrift. Our pole sitter, Chiano Alizari, 24 points adrift. It is all still very much to play for. We've already crowned the champion in the junior standings. Danny Sufi, provisionally, Antti Ramo will be the trophy champion. But in the Drivers' Championship, it is all to play for, with just 55 minutes plus 1 lap between now and crowning the champion of 2024. Lots of calculations to be done, lots of excitement, a tough old track here at Sachsenring. Alongside me, the voice of DTM, Chris Hartley. It has been an entertaining season. We've got all the calculators out here. This could go in any direction, couldn't it?
Yeah, I've got to try and remember my maths from 30 years ago at school now. Yeah,
well, few.
Exactly. Marcus Pommer and Valentina Catalano with a win yesterday, 4 points clear of Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi, 16 points clear of the 3rd place team of Cirelli and Apostolos, and 24 points clear of Chiano Alizari. They're the 4 that can win it. For Chiano Alizari to win it, it's simple. Win the race and hope the other 3 don't finish. That's his only chance. Then he'll win by a point. I spoke to him earlier, though, and he said, I'm not thinking about that. I just want to try and win the race if I can. And he said to me, might have thought about the championship if I'd been a bit more up to speed early on in the season. But it took me a round or 2 to really get into it. But he's done a fantastic job, hasn't he, with his dual campaign in the Spanish Formula 4 Championship, which he's winning as well. So for Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi, they've got to try and make up. It's only a 4-point deficit, but they're 5th on the grid. For Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano, they could afford to finish behind Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi by a place or 2, depending on where they finish in the order. If Kratz and Sufi win the race, they'll win the championship. It's as simple as that. But if they were to finish 2nd, for example, and Pommer and Catalano were a place behind them, Pommer and Catalano would still win, because there are only 3 and then 2-point gaps and then 1-point gaps between each position lower down through the top 8. So the pressure very much on Kratz and Sufi to try and get the win here. It seems their only clear-cut opportunity to win the race. Torsten Kratz starts. He is the lower-rated driver. Danny Sufi, the young 20-year-old American, to get into that Conrad car, the number 2 car, the Ligier, will be going all guns blazing in the second half of the race. We've got a very long way to go before we get to the pit stop phase in the middle of the race. And we've got a race to be won as well. It's not just about the points. Chiano Alizari and Valentina Catalano just want to try and get a race victory here. And there wasn't much between those 2 drivers in the second half of the race yesterday, was there?
No, very, very close indeed. And the track, it's very difficult to overtake on. We are at the Sachsenring, a surface that is very abrasive on the tyres, a track that is very abrasive on the drivers. There is no runoff area. It's all gravel traps. We run unusually in an anti-clockwise direction. 3.645 kilometres around, equates to about 2.2 miles with 13 turns, 4 to the right and 9 to the left. Lots of undulation, lots of blind crests, not so many overtaking opportunities, but plenty of opportunities to end up in a gravel trap. Torsten Kratz, I reckon his heart will be racing. Down in 5th place, he knows he's got to clear the cars in front of him and get to the front. Let's have a look at the starting grid. And it is Keanu Alizari who starts on pole position with championship leader Valentina Catalana alongside Riccardo Cirelli. Very impressive in his debut season at 16 years old. The experienced Felipe Lazar alongside on row 2 of the grid. On row 3, Torsten Kratz. Keep an eye on the green and black Conrad Motorsport car with Michael Lyons alongside for company for Momar Gebhardt Racing. And then at the back row, Antti Ramo and Maxim Dirks had a torrid time yesterday. Looked so strong in the race, was good for a 3rd place, but for a clutch failure in the closing stages, was unable to get the car back together for quali this morning, so starts stone last, but will be pushing forwards from that position. There is confirmation of the championship standings. Catalana and Pommer leading Soufi and Kratz by just 4 points. Apotelos and Cirelli are not out of the hunt. It's all to play for here at the Sachsenring.
Yeah, and speaking to Maxim Dirks' dad earlier on today, he said the team were up until 2 o'clock this morning trying to get that car repaired for Maxim Dirks, and then came back at 7 o'clock this morning to get the job done. So good effort, great effort from the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And some late nights there for the season closer. So the car's out of turn 13. Ahead of us, 55 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. A mandatory stop, a driver change for all bar 2 of the cars as well. Are we ready? The last race of the season, Prototype Cup Germany, is go. A great launch from Keanu Alizari. A lock-up further back for Felipe Lazar going into turn 1. Looks like everybody has made it. Torsten Kratz dropping to last but 1 place. He's got a lot of work to do from there, but Keanu Alizari, he's a quick learner, the up-and-coming superstar. Learned from yesterday, and this time he leads the pack around the Castrolomega turn 3, up the hill. Catalana slotting in behind, knows he needs to do nothing desperate, but really important. The car number 70 gets to the end of this race and picks up the points. Already coming under pressure from Felipe Lazar, who's moved up from 4th to 3rd place, the gold-rated driver, challenging for that 2nd place. Lazar will know that Catalano is going to be cautious, but a bit of a moment there going into turn 8. Almost saw a car into the gravel.
Yes, Felipe Lazar clattered the curb with the right rear tyre, and the steering just snapped away from him. He wrestled it back just in time, but that almost snapped away from him. Great reactions from the Nürburgring 24-hour race winner in that machine to hold on to that car. So number 30, Ligier, with a wild ride, but he's up, as you say, into 3rd place. Alizari, though, perfect start today, leads the race. He's going to be over a 1.5 seconds clear at the end of lap 1 from Catalano. Lazar up to 3rd, Cirelli down to 4th. From Cirelli's point of view, he knows realistically he's probably going to have to try and win this race to have a chance of the championship. Almost contact there on the way into the first corner as Lazar tries another move here for 2nd place this time on Catalano. The door was invitingly left open, but Catalano closed it just in time. The start's under investigation as well, Brian. We'll get to a replay and have a look why.
And I think why is because I think Michael Lyons might have broken rank a little bit early. We saw him move to the centre before the lights went out. The stewards will be taking a look at that. Felipe Lazar will be aware that Valentina Catalana has a championship to win. Felipe Lazar is going for glory. He knows that Catalana will not want to take too many chances, so he's putting the pressure on nice and early to try and get past the number 70 car. Meanwhile, while they're squabbling, Keanu Alizari doing what he has done several times this season already, clearing off at the front. It was 2 seconds when they crossed the start-finish line. It's up to 3.4 seconds. And we're not even completed the next lap yet. So Alizari well ahead of Valentina Catalana, who will be looking in the mirrors at Felipe Lazar, desperate not to get into trouble.
Yeah, and Lazar, we know, very quick coming out of turn 13 and into turn 1 last time. He's not quite as close this time, though, in the number 30 machine. So the Fricadelli car remains in third place at the moment. The pink BWT Muka car of Cirelli next. And there's a big gap back to Michael Lyons there. This battle that's going on. The second group of cars for fifth place. Antti Ramo there just behind, who's provisionally done enough now to wrap up the championship of the Trophy Challenge ahead of Torsten Kratz, who was a bit tentative, wasn't he, at the start of the race, into turn one. And as you say, dropped to seventh, tucked in just in front of Maxim Dirks, who is trying to get up to speed, having had no time in the car during the practice session, the qualifying session this morning.
Torsten Kratz will be another one who's aware that he can't afford to record a non-finish, but he really can't afford to finish in seventh place either, as the cars at front clear off ahead of him. All bar two of the cars will have a second driver sitting in the seat. There is a mandatory pit stop that will occur. Pit window will open. It will be 22 minutes into the race, and that window will remain open for 10 minutes, during which time every car will need to come in for a mandatory stop, and where applicable, a mandatory driver change. There are minimum pit stop times too, which vary between the cars, and that will change the whole dynamic of the race. Chiana Alizari will have the longest pit stop of all the cars out on the circuit. He wants to build up a gap that is over 5 seconds to try and neutralise that penalty that he will have when he comes into the pits.
Yeah, and at the moment, if he stays where he is, if they all stay where they are, and it's unlikely, but you never know, then he'll pick up his second win of the season. He'll pick up 25 points, and Chiano Alizari would move up to third place in the championship ahead of Cirelli and Apostolos. It stays like this. It is, of course, going to be the championship title to Pommer and Catalana, because they are winning the championship, and all of their rivals at the moment are behind them, all their closest rivals at least. The only one that's ahead of them is the one fourth in the championship coming into today, Chiano Alizari, and he's going great guns, isn't he? 4.7 seconds clear for the driver from the UAE, and he's just set the absolute best first sector time of the race, 40.6 seconds through the first half of the lap.
He is so impressive. His first full season in car racing, and he learns quickly. And the experience that he's gained now, if he did another season, you get the feeling he would be at the top of the points standings. We're looking at the battle for fifth place at the moment. Michael Lyons in the one and only Ginetta in the race, the distinctive Momo Gebhardt Motorsport livery, coming under pressure from Antti Ramo, the bronze-rated driver who took a win at Zandvoort this year. Very rapid indeed. He is the champion-elect in the trophy standings. He is challenging hard. He is a driver who's going to have a very short pit stop when the pit window opens, so he will be looking to move forwards from there.
Yeah, it's absolutely. That's happened a lot this year, hasn't it? It didn't get to happen yesterday because he had an extra pit stop problem with the car. And then when he got to his actual pit stop, that was then something went wrong with the pit stop. Couldn't start the car up, got pushed down the pit lane. Then had to come in and serve a pit stop penalty. All went wrong for Antti Ramo yesterday, but did enough in terms of his the points that he got by coming home and finishing, well, being classified in sixth place and getting enough points to provisionally wrap up the trophy title. Another absolute best lap last time around for Chiano Alizari. He said to me earlier he hasn't been home for 6 weeks because he's been doing all this racing here in Germany, the Prototype Cup. He's been racing in Spain. He's got another race next weekend in the Spanish F4 Championship, which he leads. He won a race at Aragon last time out. But his mom's Lithuanian, and they've got a family apartment in Lithuania. Grandparents still live out there, other family members as well. So when he's been travelling around Europe for the last 6-7 weeks, at least he's had some company when he's been staying largely in Lithuania.
It's a lonely life as a racing driver, isn't it? Remember the name, Chiano Alizari. This is just the beginning. An absolute superstar in the making. Well, he's a superstar already because he's leading this race by 6.5 seconds. We've only had 7 minutes of this race. Catalana in second place at the moment. Felipe Laza, Antti Ramo having a little look to the inside of Michael Lyons. Maxim Dirks, who was distraught yesterday after losing what was going to be a guaranteed podium position. Clearly not guaranteed, but now he's got back up to speed in the number 80 car because Torsten Kratz has dropped down into 8th place. The number 2 Conrad Motorsport Ligier has been passed by Maxim Dirks. So the main challengers to Valentina Catalano and Marcus Pommer in the championship currently running in 8th and last place.
Yeah, but with Danny Sufi to get into the car. I suspect as soon as that pit window opens, Kratz will bring the car in and they'll get Danny into the car because has been the quicker of the two drivers this weekend. Maxim Dirks, the driver from Antwerp, into the 119s now. So with that new clutch component having been put in, the car looks like it's all holding together. He said to us yesterday, he got into the car in the second stint, and as soon as he got into the car, he felt something was wrong, and he was going around in the 121s yesterday at the number 80 car, and then he was caught by Cirelli, and then he said, well, I'm not going to not finish on the podium when I'm running in third place, so he just pushed the car as hard as he could. But then Cirelli went off through the gravel trap, and he had an easy third place. He was 15 seconds clear, could afford to nurse the car home, and with 2 minutes to go, it went as Antti Ramo goes for a move, makes contact with Michael Lyons, and spins around. Maxim Dirks avoids him, Torsten Kratz avoids him. Antti Ramo facing in the wrong direction. It has not been his weekend, has it?
No, and the advantage that he might have gained through the pit stop sequence is going to be neutralised here because that car is still stationary, pointing in the wrong direction. If he's lost power to it, you see it rolling down the track, and if he can't get it started, we're going to see either a full course yellow or a safety car here. It doesn't look like he's going anywhere anytime soon, and I think he's lost the power. He moved to the inside of Michael Lyons into turn one. Lyons went to shut the door. I think maybe pinched down the number 14 car a little bit. He spun. I don't think Michael Lyons did anything wrong, but I think the Antti Ramo perhaps just getting a wheel. Did he get a wheel onto the curb? I don't think he even got onto the curb. The car just swapping ends. Very twitchy, these LMP3 prototype cars. They're very downforce dependent and very easy to unsettle them. We've seen it all season long. The drivers are running them on a knife edge a lot of the time. Very easy to lose them. We've got a full course yellow incoming. So Chiara Alizari's 8.3 second lead is looking safe because in theory, under full course yellow, the gap should remain the same. But the engine appears to have cut out on the number 14 car, so he's going to need a bit of assistance to get the MRS GT Racing Ligier to safety.
Because it's downhill through turn one as well, which means if the back end goes, it's very light because all the weight is transferred onto the front of the car through the apex, through that right-hander, and it doesn't take much of a tap to get into spin. And for quite a long way back, didn't he, Antti Ramo? I don't think Michael Lyons was necessarily expecting the attack down the inside. Tried the move, it didn't work, and then stalled and facing in the wrong direction. Good reactions from Maxim Dirks to avoid him, actually, because he wasn't far behind when that car was spinning. So he's up to 6th. Torsten Kratz is back up to 7th place. And Antti Ramo's frustrating weekend at the Sachsenring continues for the former frontrunner in the Lithuanian karting championships. Did single-seater racing as well.
Cirelli doing a bit of a double take there in 4th place. You saw him just twitching, the 16-year-old driver who has been so rapid alongside Julian Apostolos this year. You come around the corner and you see a Ligier looking at you head on. You can see the whites of the eyes of Antti Ramo. So good avoiding action there from Riccardo Cirelli.
So, as it stands, 210 points to Pommer and Catalano, 195 to Kratz and Sufi, 191 to Alizari would be 3rd, and 187 to Cirelli and Apostolos. If it would stay like this, would be 4th in the championship. Just to make the point as well, that the number 90 Gebhardt car, the Momo car, doesn't score points, not eligible for points. That's the car of Sven Bart and Michael Lyons, and that's because Sven changed cars after the first part of the season. So he and his driving partner unable to score championship points. So if you finish behind him, you still get the point. You move up the points. So if you finish 6th and that car is 5th, you'll get the points for 5th.
Yes, Sven Bart started in a Duqueine DO8 at the start of this season, moved over to the Ginetta. He says it suits his frame a lot better, maybe a little less slim than some of the other drivers, and that really works well for him. The car looks gorgeous. The red and yellow livery attracts attention wherever it goes. The number 14 car, the Antti Ramo car, being dragged unceremoniously from the stage. He is the trophy champion-elect to be confirmed, but it doesn't look like he's going to be playing any further part in this race 12 of a 12-race season, the 3rd season for a Prototype Cup Germany, organised and arranged and promoted by the ADAC in association with Creventic, a championship that has provided us with some great racing. The 3rd year of this championship, and I would say possibly the best year in terms of competitiveness as we get back to green flag conditions. Chiara Alizari quick on the accelerator, less so Valentina Catalano because the gap now up to 10 seconds between first and second.
Yeah, a very big gap. And Al-Azhari's total pit stop time, he's only going to be 2 seconds more than Catalano and Pommer, so he's very comfortable here. Felipe Laza is trying his best to get through because he is certainly the quicker of the two drivers in that number 30 car, with all due respect to his driving partner, Felipe Laza. He's a very, very rapid driver, and as I said, a Nürburgring overall race winner, a multiple class winner as well. Klaus Abelin is a legend of motorsport from the Fricadelli team, which he set up, but isn't as quick as Felipe, so that car is probably not going to go forwards in the second half of the race. Felipe Laza wants to get it as high up at the order as he can, pulls out now to try and find a gap, and he's going to go for second place here all the way to turn 13, which he does. Fantastic move, great exit coming out of turn 12. Not many moves are pulled off into the final corner here at the Sachsenring, but that was a very good one. Felipe Laza up to second.
And good wise driving from Valentina Catalana. Don't take any risks. You can't win a championship if you're in the gravel trap. They lead the championship at the moment, but it's important that he finishes and gets those points for third place, because if he finishes in third place, he and Markus Pommer, who is the defending champion in Prototype Cup Germany, will retain the title. Valentina Catalana will win it for the first time. It was Gary Hauser who was Markus Pommer's teammate last year. Another look up the hill. It is a steep hill into turn 13. Laza had that inside line, using a bit of curb out wide, shuts the door in the face of Valentina Catalana. Job done, no real dramas.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. Valentino didn't want to get involved in that fight. He doesn't need to get involved in any fight for trophies in this race. The trophy of winning the championship is the key thing, and yeah, give away a position, give away some points, but still well clear. They'll be on 206 points, 195 for Kratz and Sufi if it stays like this. They've just got to finish ahead of them, or maybe even one place behind them if the number 2 car doesn't win the race. So sensible thinking there from the 16-year-old. He finished 4th in the championship last year, his first season in Prototype Cup. His first win at Oschersleben, a bit of Formula 4 racing in the French championship before switching to prototypes, and has really benefited, I think, from having the ultra-experienced Markus Pommer as his teammate. You say he was last year's champion, but he's been a German Formula 3 champion as well. Lots of single-seater and then endurance racing experience, and that calm that comes from Markus Pommer and knowing how to fight for a championship is going to be key, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about just keeping your head and not getting overexcited and not losing it. It was an exciting race for car number 8 yesterday, the BWT Mucke Motorsport Duquesne. Both Riccardo Cirelli and Julian Apotelos having a rotating moment in 4th place at the moment. It'll be a good points haul, but not enough to get them into the championship challenging position. We've still got just under 40 minutes of this race remaining, plus the obligatory 1 lap, and we're about 6.5 minutes away from the pit window opening, when the window stays open for that 10 minutes, and every car will need to come into the pits during that period. So Chiara Al-Azhari continues to lead across the line, 10.578 last time around was his lead over Felipe Laza. So although Laza, a gold-rated driver, former Nürburgring 24-hour champion, still not reeling him in. In fact, the gap increasing to nearly 11 seconds. In 3rd place, Valentina Catalana doing what he needs, thinking of the bigger picture. 1.5 seconds behind Felipe Laza, then Riccardo Cirelli. And you get a feeling that Catalana and Cirelli might be fighting each other before too long. Riccardo Cirelli now starting to look a little bit eager in that 4th place, and Valentina Catalana will be very aware of that, and once again the championship in his mind.
And the pit stop will be shorter for that pink BWT Mucke car as well, with its success penalty and the pit stop penalty added on. Its total pit stop time will be 5 seconds less than the pit stop time of Catalano, and he's only 0.7 seconds behind him. So without having to overtake him on the track, they should overtake during the pit stop window phase because of that shorter pit stop. We go back to this battle between Michael Lyons and Maxim Dirks now in cars 90 and 80. This is for 5th place overall. Maxim Dirks, who on course for that maiden podium yesterday, and drove very well to do it. Let's see if he can do it again now. He's fresh from karting. He's a multiple national karting champion in the Dutch and Belgian karting championships. Michael Lyons ahead of him. He's ultra experienced, known for his historic sports car racing, historic Formula One racing as well. He's a multiple champion at the Monaco Historic Formula One Grand Prix. He's won Masters historic Formula One races at events like the British Grand Prix, and he's also been a pretty handy modern-day GT racer as well, Michael Lyons. So he's in good company, Maxim Dirks, but he's hanging on to the back of that Gebhardt car. He's less than half a second behind him now as they go back into turn one.
And into turn one, he sees the gap. Michael Lyons, who's driven some amazing machinery at Monaco, really some wonderful cars in the historic Formula One. But Maxim Dirks is no respecter of that, looking very dialed in now, putting the disappointments of yesterday behind him in the car that is covered in hundreds and thousands, and the beautiful woman painted on the back as well. Doesn't want to damage that paintwork, but he wants to challenge Michael Lyons. It is 5th place for car number 90 at the moment. Maxim Dirks closing in, keeping the pressure on, trying to push his way forwards.
They are from the same family as well in terms of the team. They're both Gebhardt cars, these drivers. They'll be fighting for their own result, of course, but they will not want to damage both cars with a move that will put both of them out. Michael Lyons just pulled away at this phase, hasn't he, from Maxim Dirks, who was admiring Michael Lyons' socks this morning because he was going around in shorts and bright pink socks. To lighten the mood for everybody.
Oh, so were you as well, if I remember rightly. So, yes, they continue. Azari up to 12.681. There is no stopping this man. Felipe Laza clearly has nothing for the Duquesne in front of him. Catalano still 8/10 ahead of Cirelli, 3 minutes away from the pit window opening. There are different pit stop times. Rather than trying to explain it, I would point you to either the ADAC Prototype Cup Germany page or the Creventic Prototype Cup Germany page, where the minimum pit stop times are explained. I tried yesterday, made a right dog's dinner of it, but it's very good because it really does level out different driver gradings. And after the pit stop sequence, we may well see a change in the order. Chiana Alazari, as things stand at the moment, should be able to come in and out of the pits and retain the lead, because 13.5 seconds over Felipe Laza is a massive gap to be leading this race by, with 35 minutes still to run.
Yeah, doing a great job, isn't he? Yeah, essentially the drivers are graded gold, silver or bronze, depending on their experience, their speed, their ability, and you've got the different driver pairings, and you get more time added on into your minimum pit stop time if you've got a weaker pairing. And also, there are success times added on if you finish in the top 3 in the previous race. That could be another 7 seconds added on if you won the previous race, 4 if you were second, or a couple of seconds if you were third. And there's also a slightly bigger penalty for single drivers as well, which is why Chiano Alazari, even though he's the same rating driver as, say, Valentino Catalano, has a longer pit stop because he's a single driver. So that's why he's a couple of seconds longer. Another big look down the inside for Maxim Dirks going into the first corner on Michael Lyons. He's obviously very good coming out of turn 13, isn't he?
Yeah, the car's all running the same engine, the mighty Nissan 5.6-litre V8 engine, the Type VK56 for the geeks out there who want to know that, producing about 455 brake horsepower. The engines are sealed, so they're not able to tune them up. So it's different chassis, different setups amongst many of the cars. We have a Ginetta versus a Duquesne that is fighting for that position, the 5th place. The pit stop sequence is going to start to unfold very shortly, because we are a minute away from the pit window opening, and it will be the 10 minutes when the teams will decide when to bring the drivers in. I should think Maxim Dirks, after the disappointment of yesterday, would be quite happy to stay out for the next 33.5 minutes, but unfortunately he's not allowed to do that.
It's nearly 31 degrees, the air temperature here, and very hot work. In those enclosed cockpits, you can make it about 55 to 60 degrees, the temperature in there. An hour-long race, essentially, 55 minutes plus 1 lap. And you don't get any respite as a driver around here with these very quick corners. It's very narrow in points as well. And then even when it's straight, you've got downhill or uphill sections or blind crests to try and contest with. Despite all of that, despite the fact he's a single driver as we get towards the pit window opening, despite all of that, Chiano Alazari is showing no signs of fatigue, because on the last lap, but one, he set the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 17.7. He's now 17 seconds up the road from Felipe Laza.
It's hard to believe that Al-Azhari has only won one race this season, and I think it's fair to say he's been undone by the safety car a few times where he's had a big lead. The safety car's come out and then that lead has disappeared and he's had the longer pit stop and then the advantage is gone. So as long as we can avoid any safety cars, then he should be pretty good to go, and he'll probably want to pit quite early. The pit window is now open. He'll want to get that out of the way while he's got that big gap behind him to Felipe Lazar.
Yeah, and he and the team will kind of consider what's behind as well. You know, where is it going to bring you back out? Will it bring you into somebody else's battle if we pit now? Valentino Catalano looks like he's bound for the pits right at the start of the pit window, though. So Catalano, championship leader, will hand over to his co-championship leader and teammate. The first to come in, Marcus Pommer, will take over the wheel, the former Formula 2 driver and former German F3 champion.
They've got plenty of time, so no need to rush, but Valentino Catalano's season in Prototype Cup Germany 2024 is now over. It's all down to his teammate Marcus Pommer to get the work done, to bring it home and to win that championship. So Pommer into the car for the last time this season, also into the pit lane. That's Torsten Kratz. You said he was going to come in quite quickly. I think that's quite wise. Danny Soufi, without being rude, probably the quicker of the two drivers, so he'll want to get into that car and try and push forwards as quickly as possible from the 7th place they were in when the pit window opened. So out comes Torsten Kratz. His job is done for this season, and now Danny Soufi getting ready to jump into the car.
Yeah, and Danny Soufi, who's, as you were saying to me yesterday, Brian, given up a lot, hasn't he, to come racing here in Germany and in Europe. Really came here with nothing guaranteed in terms of race experience, race seat, and started at the very bottom rung of the ladder at the Conrad Motorsport, didn't he?
Yes, sweeping the floor primarily. I mean, his only experience up until prototypes was racing Mazdas, MX-5s out in the USA. He came over to Europe, got involved with the Conrad Motorsport team, is actually staying on site at the factory. He's become very friendly with Franz Conrad and the rest of the team, an integral part of that team. And we've seen him over the last couple of years in Prototype Cup Germany, just growing as a driver, gaining more experience, proving that he's very, very good. He's got a lot to prove here now because he's got to move up from the 7th place. He's got to get past that car there, but the problem is Marcus Pommer is at the wheel, a 6 times GT Masters winner, and the defending champion, as chilled as the proverbial cucumber, and he'll be out there when the pit sequence is over. Marcus Pommer plans on being somewhere near the front.
Yeah, and Pommer left the pit lane 1.7 seconds above the minimum pit stop time, according to the graphic that we had. So not quite as tight to it as they could have been, but no point taking any risks, really, is there? Al-Azhari has come in, meanwhile, fairly early to make his pit stop. Danny Soufi in there behind the wheel of the Conrad car, which is 2nd in the championship, but really needs to go like crazy now to get up the order, and probably could do with a safety car at some point in this race.
Felipe Lazar inherits the lead of the race, and I reckon he's going to be out for as long as possible before he hands over to his co-driver, Klaus Abelin, the legendary Klaus Abelin of Fricadelli Racing. There is the race leader, the driver who was the race leader. Torsten Kratz has nothing to do with that car, but Keanu Al-Azhari is, and he is there just getting a bit of air in. The doors are open. He's having a bit of a wash and a scrub up. Car number 2 is under investigation. Torsten Kratz and Danny Soufi under investigation for a pit stop infringement. This may well be something that puts the lid on the championship, because the stewards are looking at the pit stop that of the car that Danny Soufi is now driving for a potential infringement. Oh, and drama once again. Maxim Dirks into the pits. That looks like something has let go. Smoke pouring from the car. Dirks has had the run. He came in to hand over to Jakob Erlbacher, but that car doesn't look like it's going any further.
Real shame for the team. Heartbreak. What could have been a really good weekend for them has ended in massive frustration. Yeah, I was looking at the graphic on the countdown when Soufi crossed the line, and if you go a little bit longer than the minimum pit stop time, which is fine, you just lose time, then it carries on counting. So that's how I knew that 1.7 seconds above the minimum pit stop time was Pommer, but Soufi stopped at 0. So I think it's to do with whether he was just a fraction under the minimum pit stop time. They had an infringement yesterday as well. We saw a couple of infringements over the course of the season, but that looks like it's going to be our second retirement of the season, of the day rather, I'm afraid. Having lost Antti Ramo earlier, that Gebhard car has gone out now with Maxim Dirks and Jakob Eilbacher not even getting to get behind the wheel of the car for this second stint.
Well, Maxim Dirks, Jakob Eilbacher, thank you for being part of this championship this year. We've really enjoyed watching you. Sincerely hope you will both be back next year in this wonderful championship. Such a shame for it to end this way, but we know that after the bad luck, the good luck is always going to come. Kian Al-Azari currently in third place, but the leading pit stopper. There's no surprise there. You can see the clock ticking next to Maxim Dirks because he's in the pits, but sadly that car is not going to be coming out again. You can see confirmation that Danny Sufi and Torsten Kratz are under investigation for a pit stop infringement. So once again, it's all playing into the hands of Valentina Catalana and Marcus Pommer, who is at the wheel in a net third place at the moment of the number 70 Gebhardt Motorsport Duquesne.
Yeah, and Pommer and Catalana have been so consistent this year, haven't they? 2 wins, 3 seconds, 3 thirds, a fourth and a fifth, and just the one block, which was the retirement at Hockenheim, one of the 3 races there, because we had the rescheduled race from Spa. So, you know, when your worst finishing result is a fifth, it's not been a bad season at all, and it's been an excellent job by them. The Momo car comes in then, so Michael Lyons from second on the road comes in now to hand over the number 90 car to his teammate Sven Bart, former GT Masters racer himself, and Michael will get out of the car. He does the occasional race. He was at the Nürburgring as well, but has a long history, going back a decade of racing sometimes with the Gebhardt squad. So Michael Lyons gets out. A few words of advice to Sven Bart before he gets in. Get their own seat as well because of the different size and height of the drivers, and in he will get for his second stint. Felipe Lassa will, as you say, stretch this as long as he can as the quicker driver from the team. He will have, if he wants, time to do another lap at the end of this one before he comes in as well, won't he?
Yes, but he needs to not be making any mistakes. You run off the road or make a mistake and you miss the pit window, then you really are in trouble. The stewards do not take kindly to drivers missing the pit window. We know that from experience. While all this has been going on, Riccardo Trulli has handed over to Julian Apotelos, currently in a net second place, but of course Felipe Laza, who will hand over to Klaus Abelin during the pit stop, will filter out somewhere in that battle as well. You can see from the countdown clock that Sven Bart has now jumped behind the wheel of the Momo car. He's relieved Michael Lyons of duty, and Sven Bart will be out on track shortly, which means that it's just Felipe Laza, our race leader, will be the last car to make the mandatory pit stop.
Taken a long time to investigate this pit stop infringement, potentially for Danny Sufi and Torsten Kratz, aren't they? Which tells me that it must have been very, very tight on the time.
Yeah, they need to get it right, don't they? Because this could be a championship deciding decision by the race stewards. So I expect they are looking, checking, double checking. It might be that the team are on the blower as well, appealing a case. You don't know what is going on behind the scenes, but if we get any news, we will let you know shortly. This time around, Felipe Laza is going to have to peel off into the pits because he's not going to have enough time to get round again on another lap, I don't think. So up to turn 13 he comes. Actually, he might just be able to squeeze another lap, but no, he decides not to. Discretion is the better part of valor. The legendary Klaus Abelin will be poised and ready for action. No doubt, seat insert in hand, ready to jump into the Fricadelli Racing, the number 30 Ligier JSB 320. Here comes Klaus Abelin, opens the door. Felipe Laza climbs out, his job is done, and he takes out his seat insert, and Abelin will soon jump into the seat of that car, and it means that Kian Al-Azari, who's currently out at turn 1, turn 2, around to Castro Omega turn 3, in theory should be somewhere near the front, but Klaus Abelin and Felipe Laza, the driver combination means that they have a slightly shorter stop than Keanu Al-Azari, so we'll see where they come out in comparison to the number 21 car.
Yeah, Keanu Al-Azari looking very much in control of this race. It's been weird for him not to win a race this weekend because he's basically been topping the times in all the sessions, hasn't he? And Friday in free practice, He topped the times in all 3 sessions, even though, Brian, he went off the road at turn 10. I spoke to him about that. He said turn 10, the top of the hill at the end of sector 2, just before you come down the waterfall. He said that, to me, is the trickiest part of the circuit, because you're going into that full chat, 5th gear. He said if you just lift fractionally off the throttle, it costs you 2 or 3 tenths of a second. So you have to be committed. He said, but I was a bit too over-committed on Friday. He said, I won't be making that mistake again.
He smashed it up at the beginning of the session. He still finished fastest. Yeah. So that says it all, really, doesn't it? Right, Klaus Abelin at the wheel. The car is rolling. So out of the pits comes Klaus Abelin. Now, where is Chiana Al-Azari? He's right up at turn 2 and turn 3. So Azari retakes the lead. Abelin into second place at the moment, and in 3rd place Julian Apostolos. So no, Apostolos up to 2nd place, beg your pardon. So no, the graphics have corrected themselves again. So Abelin in 2nd at the moment, but Apostolos and his co-driver Riccardo Cirelli have done a pretty solid job staying in within the podium positions at the moment. Will be reeling in Klaus Abelin, so looking optimistic for a 2nd place.
Yeah, and a drive-through penalty for Danny Soufi. Pit stop infringements. They've taken a long time to make sure they got it correct and looked at the timings, but I suspect it is to do with the time of the pit stop, and maybe they were just fractionally underneath. And that will put pay to that, surely. Their championship has just gone off the rails. The last 2 weekends at the Nürburgring and the Sachsenring have been their worst weekends of the season, because up until that point, they were comfortably leading the championship. Well, not comfortably, but they always had their nose in front, didn't they? They took 2 wins and a 2nd in the first weekend at the Lausitz Ring, and they finished on the podium for the first 6 races, and then 7 out of the first 8 races. But it's all gone wrong since the Nürburgring, Sachsenring. They've been in the points, but they haven't been anywhere near a podium.
And this will be music to the ears of Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano, because all they need to do now is stay in front, keep it on the track, and bring it home with those points, and there'll be nothing that Danny Soufi can do about it, because the drive-through penalty, that's a big penalty. That's going to add a lot of time onto his lap, and it's going to drop him. Well, he's in last place already because Maxim Dirks is not running, but it's going to drop him a long way back.
So Chiana Al-Azari leads by 9.2 seconds up to 2nd place now, because a much shorter pit stop time because of the gold-bronze driver combination. The bronze driver being Klaus Abelin, 63-year-old, now running in that number 30 car, and he is currently 14 seconds ahead of Julian Apostolos. But Julian, you would expect to be a fair bit quicker than Klaus, who set up the Fricadelli business and the Fricadelli racing team. He's a real motorsport enthusiast and has raced in all manner of championships over the years. He was the partner to the late, great Sabine Schmitz as well, the queen of the Nürburgring, until her sad passing a few years ago. So Soufi out of the pits, rejoins in front of the number 21 car of Chiana Al-Azari. The trouble is, he's not leading the race. He's nearly a lap down after an extra pit stop.
Yeah, that's an absolute disaster, and I expect his heart is going to be sinking as he has that issue, and he passes through for the drive-through penalty. Chiana Al-Azari not really thinking about championships. He's thinking about that lead. 13.656 seconds over Klaus Abelin, who is being reeled in by Julian Apostolos. Apostolos with his eyes on 2nd place. You can see the black bodywork on the back of the number 21 car, Chiana Al-Azari. That's what they had to replace after the crash on Friday in free practice, but it hasn't slowed him down. The quickest man on the track by some distance. He was the fastest lap of 1:17.547, and that was back on lap 14.
Right, so Julian Apostolos was just under 2 seconds quicker than Klaus Abelin on the last lap. So the gap, which was 14 seconds, is now down to just 12.2 seconds. We've still got 19 minutes of the race, plus a lap to go as well. So at that rate of knots, in about 7 laps time, Apostolos is going to be on the case of Abelin and fighting for 2nd place, and he's bringing with him, of course, that man Marcus Pommer in 4th place. So 3rd and 4th both flying after Klaus Abelin, who's got this head start after that pit stop. Danny Soufi rejoining in stone last place of the remaining runners, back in 6th place, only 10 points, and of course behind rather than in front of Pommer and Catalano. So Pommer and Catalano still very much on course for the championship title.
18.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this season. What has been a very entertaining season for the Prototype Cup Germany 2024. Chiara Alazzari, the driver who has been getting quicker and quicker as this season has progressed. He learns very quickly. He's leading the way by 17.5 seconds. All the pit stops are done and dusted, so the order you see them on the track is the positions that they are running in. In second place, Klaus Ablin, now down to nearly 20 seconds in second place. Julian Apotelos about 8 seconds behind him. Then championship leader, championship-elect Marcus Pommer, Valentina Catalana in that fourth place, ahead of Sven Bart and Danny Sufi after that drive-through penalty, some 40 seconds back from fifth place.
So as it stands, Pommer and Catalano in fourth place, on course for 13 points. Kratz and Sufi are sixth, but they'll get the points for fifth. 11 points. They were 4 behind. They're going to be 6 behind, and Pommer and Catalano will be champions. At the moment, Chiara Alazzari, by a point, is going to be third in the championship, I reckon, because he's got 25 points coming his way. And that is going to bring 1 point ahead of Cirelli and Apotelos. So Cirelli and Apotelos, I reckon, need to get up to second to make sure of a top 3 in the championship.
Apotelos through into second place. You saw the cloud of blue smoke as they exited turn 13. Klaus Abelin finally giving in to the youngster in car number 8. Let's have another look here at turn 13. Here was Klaus Abelin, and the cloud of smoke was because Abelin had got it sideways coming out of turn 13. Fortunately, he kept it going before Apotelos came on the scene. Gets it into gear, gets the thing moving, and Apotelos is through to steal that second place. So that explains why Apotelos was able to reduce the gap so quickly. But Klaus Abelin, a scary moment there. That is a blind crest on that corner. But Apotelos had that through into second place. Chiara Alazzari, no such problems. He's got half a minute on the second place car. Klaus Abelin down into third, but very quickly falling into the clutches of Marcus Pommer. Pommer is going to waste no time trying to dispatch him, heading into turn 12 and then up to 13. I think Abelin will be remembering what happened on the previous lap. Up the hill he'll come. Marcus Pommer, does he go to the inside? Does he go to the outside? Probably just wait until he gets onto the pit straight. He's going to pick up a slipstream as they head past the pit entrance and the pit exit down in towards turn 1. There's Apotelos in second place. And then the fight for the last of the podium positions. To the inside goes Marcus Pommer. Doesn't make it happen this time around into turn 1. He goes wide and out to the outside on turn 2. Then it's round to turn 3, the Castrol Omega turn. Still, Klaus Abelin holding on in the Fricadelli racing car.
I think any other day, Pommer would have chucked it down the inside into turn 1. But if he gets it slightly wrong and Abelin turns in on him, there's contact and he gets into a spin, championship gone. He's got to think about the championship, and it's 0 risk. And he doesn't even need to overtake Abelin to wrap up the championship. He will like to get in front of him, because then he'll have a completely clear track in front and behind. But every overtake comes with a risk. You've got to minimise that risk. So Pommer is going to wait until there's a clear-cut opportunity. That said, if you know you're behind somebody that's already had a spin, you don't want them to have a spin and you're right behind them and you collect them either. So I think he will want to get on with this, but he'll try and do it in the most sensible place, the easiest place. He shows his nose here. Is he going to go for it? Breathe in. Oh, it's going to be tight. No, he backs off out of it again. Don't go off the road, because and he squeezed across there, and this is frustration for Pommer. Heart in mouth moment, almost contact between them if there wasn't, and he now thinks, right, I've got to get past you now. I don't want any of this. I just want a nice calm end to the race. He's got his nose in front as they come past the commentary box. He's around the outside. He's through. He'll keep a check on the mirrors and hope that Abelin doesn't get too close to him, but finally he gets through. But I tell you what, Abelin made him work for it and gave him a big old scare there going out of turn 12.
I have never seen Marcus Pommer drive that cautiously before, and still his championship flashed before his eyes. I should think Valentina Catalano will be in the pits watching from behind a cushion. His nails will be disappeared, I should think. That was a scary moment. But now up into third place, Julian Apotelos is some 6.4 seconds away. So Marcus Pommer doesn't need to do anything dramatic. Doesn't want to do anything that would put too much stress on the car either. He doesn't want a puncture, doesn't want a gearbox or a clutch failure or an engine failure. He doesn't want anything that is going to jeopardize the position he's in. Third place is enough to clinch finish this championship, but he's got 13.5 minutes. He needs to hold it all together. Klaus Abelin, solid job in 4th place. He's 7.5 seconds ahead of Sven Bart. So running fairly spaced out at the moment, but that was a scary moment, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Showed his nose early, didn't he? Said, look, here's my intention. It's to come through. But Abelin is able to defend his position. He's not being lapped. He's trying to fight for his own position here, fight for a podium place. So, of course, he's going to make hard work of it. Abelin, though, squeezing across here. And that was the moment that Pommer thought, oh, I'm going to check out of this. I don't want this battle at all. And then I think that decided it for him. He was like, right, as soon as I get onto that straight now, I am coming past because I'm not getting involved in this fight.
Well, Abelin would have known that Pommer needs to finish this race, and he would have been, well, I can take as many risks as I want because I've got nothing to lose. So there was a 3rd place trophy up for grabs there. Pommer, though, picked his moment. I don't think there was anything Abelin could have done about that along the pit straight into turn 1. But it was a fairly sketchy moment. Now they have broken clear of each other. Pommer is up the road. He's pulled up a gap fairly quickly, about 4.9 seconds over Klaus Abelin and about 5.6 back from Julian Apostolos. Alazari still continues his onward march. He's going to start lapping people at this rate. 34.5 seconds is his lead. We see him coming past our commentary box, and then we're going to also have a little sit down and a little break before Apostolos comes in 2nd place.
Sven Bart is averaging 3 seconds a lap quicker than Klaus Abelin, and he's only 5.7 seconds behind at the start of this lap. So on the lap after this, it should be that Sven Bart, number 90, he's up with Abelin and fighting for 4th place. We should see him coming into the picture pretty soon if you are Klaus Abelin and Fricadelli fans. So that's the next battle to keep an eye on. In terms of the championship, Marcus Pommer, Valentino Catalano already leading the championship, and they are on now for 16 points for 3rd place, and that will give them, I reckon, a victory in the championship by 9 points because Kratz and Sufi are currently 6th. They'll get the points for 5th. They're being outscored by 5. They're already 4 behind, so 9 behind they'll be. But going into 2nd place in the race means that Cirelli and Apostolos now scored 20 points rather than 16, which means they will finish 3rd in the championship, not 4th. They're now outscoring Keanu Alazari, who, despite this win, is going to end up 4th in the championship. But actually, there'll only be 6 points between 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the standings if it stays like this.
There is just under 11 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this, the 2024 season of Prototype Cup Germany, and it could all change yet. It's not over until it's over. These cars need to get to the line. We've seen it already. We saw it yesterday. Cars that fall by the wayside in the last couple of minutes, and I should think Marcus Pommer will be listening to every bump, every click, every vibration. He'll be thinking about everything that he does. He can't afford to put a wheel wrong. He'll want the car to hold together. Need to avoid any debris out on the track, pick up a puncture. Certainly avoid the gravel traps. At Marcus Pommer, an experienced driver, probably the most experienced driver in this field, in a solid 3rd place, 3.6 seconds back from Julian Apostolos, just holding it together. He is a little over 10 minutes away from defending his championship, the first driver ever to successfully defend a championship in Prototype Cup Germany, but still 10 minutes to go. There is your confirmation. 10 points between the 1st and the 2nd place team if things remain as they are now. Sven Bart up with Klaus Abelin. This is for 4th place around Castrol Omega turns 3 up the hill, the blind crest. Klaus Abelin will be aware that the Ginetta is behind him, filling the mirrors, then across to the top of turn 6 into turn 7, and then downhill once again back under the bridge.
Yeah, Sven Bart gobbling up the advantage here of Klaus Abelin, but Klaus has already proven that that can be quite a wide car, can't it? In that defence earlier on of 3rd place from Marcus Pommer. So Sven Bart will have to pick his moment here. Abelin is going to fight for every point, of course, as he can. They go through turn 11 now, drop downhill, this huge downhill section towards turn 12, 5th gear through there. They drop to 3rd gear. Here's the move down the inside for Sven Bart. Didn't take any prisoners, didn't hesitate for a single second, and through he goes. And that puts him now up ahead of Abelin and to 4th place.
I reckon Klaus Ablin knew that Sven Bart was probably prepared to take more risks than Marcus Pommer might have been able to. So out along the pit straight, no real fight put up there by Klaus Ablin. He knew that Sven Bart was probably going to come through whatever, but Bart up into that 4th place. So if the race finished now, he would match his finishing position from yesterday, already leaving Klaus Ablin in his wake. Ablin looking pretty safe from Danny Soufi. You can see that Soufi is a minute behind the number 30 car.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally only hope now for them, for Danny Soufi and Torsten Kratz would be a problem for the championship leaders, or a safety car to give them half a chance of racing somebody, because at the moment they're just going around on their own, aren't they, in 6th place, Danny Soufi. It must be a horrible way to lose a championship, because it feels that he can't do anything, can't get involved. He hopped into that car, Danny Soufi, all fired up when he's thinking, all right, I can do something now, I can be proactive, I can go for it, I can go on the attack and try and win this championship somehow. But he hasn't, because of that pit stop penalty, even been afforded the chance to have a go, really, has he?
No, it was kind of game over before he could even get stuck in, wasn't it? 2nd place, Julian Apotelos, with Marcus Pommer behind. Now, this is the chance that Danny Soufi will be wishing for, that Marcus Pommer and Julian Apotelos might somehow get together. Marcus Pommer, we said, well, you only need to settle for 3rd place and you'll get the championship. But Marcus Pommer is a racing driver through and through. 3rd place, well, that's the 2nd loser. I want 2nd place. I want the lead. Marcus Pommer closing in on Julian Apotelos. How much of a risk is Marcus Pommer going to take to get past car number 8?
If I was Marcus Pommer, I would just back off, drive around on my own
You and me both.
for 9 minutes and not get involved in any fights. He doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah.
I know there comes a risk with that, because if you do lose your rhythm, racing driving is all about rhythm and hitting the braking spot, hitting the turning point, being repetitive. And if you start backing off and driving slow and trying to bring the car home and not make any mistakes, then ironically you can start making silly mistakes, because you kind of switch off mentally. So there is an argument to be said. Is that car going slowly?
That's
Marcus Pommer has slowed down. Marcus Pommer has got an issue. He's slowed right down.
He's weaving.
Or he's listening to me and he's back right off. But
No.
has he got an issue? It doesn't sound right, does it?
No, I mean, see him weaving. I wondered if he was trying to get fuel into a pickup or something. Is he back up to speed now? He looks like he might be back up to speed. But suddenly, Marcus Pommer, having reeled in Julian Apotelos, suddenly the championship may be about to take another turn. 6 minutes and 10 seconds plus 1 lap. I'm actually trying to listen to the car. It sounds all right. Looks like he might be back up to speed. You saw him weaving. I thought initially, has he run out of fuel? Is he trying to get fuel into the pickup? He didn't peel off into the pit lane. But what on earth happened there with Marcus Pommer?
It's either something's gone wrong, or he's just got the message from the radio on the team saying, back off. Just don't get involved in a fight. You can fall 5-6 seconds away from him, and you're still miles clear of Sven Bart in 4th place, and you're absolutely miles clear of Danny Soufi in 6th place, who incidentally, I reckon, has got a problem to add to all their woes, because Danny Soufi's last 2 lap times have been a 1:27 and a 1:28. Last lap, he was 10 seconds slower than Keanu Alazari. So Danny Soufi, to add to all the troubles they've had this weekend, has also got a problem with his car.
Alazari might still win the championship at this rate. 5.25 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap of the season. Three-quarters of a minute ahead is Keanu Alazari, ahead of Julian Apotelos. Marcus Pommer, I do wonder whether he just backed out of it. These cars, well, they're ground effect, so you lose downforce if you go too slow or if you're too close to the car in front. It might be that he's just backed off to get a bit of cool air into it, to not pick up the dirty air from the car in front. It doesn't look to have any issues. His lap times are reasonable at the moment, aren't they? So, what was happening there? 4.5 minutes remaining as he heads out towards, that's turn 7, isn't it, at the moment, and still all okay. So heartbeats just calming down a bit now. Pommer looks to be back in the groove.
Yeah, 1:19.699 was actually a bit quicker than Apotelos last time around. So, yes, looked, I mean, hopefully it was all under control. It was just a decision by Marcus Pommer and the team to, right, let's back off now, look after the car, bring it home. You don't need to get involved in a fight. But the way he dramatically slowed coming out of turn 12, was a bit sudden, wasn't it, that? So,
He's playing with us, isn't he?
all fans of Marcus Pommer and Valentina Catalano, like us, go and have a lie down now and let your heartbeat slow down. I think it's all right.
He's yelling April Fool as he walked past. Well, it's September, actually. 3 3/4 minutes remaining of this race. Al Azari continues his monumental pace at the front. 47.884 last time around and continuing to stretch that further. Second place, Julian Apostolos and Riccardo Cirelli in the Mucca Motorsport car number 8. Marcus Pommer, Valentina Catalana are about 3 minutes and 20 seconds plus 1 lap away from a championship, becoming the 3rd ever champions in Prototype Cup Germany, the 2024 season, which has provided entertaining racing every time they've appeared. And Marcus Pommer, Valentina Catalana coming from behind in the point standings and are now less than 3 minutes plus 1 lap away from a historic championship win.
Danny Sufi has just been lapped again by the race leader, Chiano Alazari. So the championship leaders at the start of the weekend are going to end the race 2 laps down on the leaders, and the car is getting slower and slower and slower. 1 minute 30 last time around, 11 seconds off the pace from Danny Sufi. So I've got a big problem with that car. He's just trying to drive around and get to the flag, because the only hope for him now is that Pommer has a problem and retires from the race. Even the safety car wouldn't help now because he's laps down. So Danny Sufi circulating in 6th place, trying to just get a finish and hope that something goes wrong from their point of view to Pommer and Catalano. But Pommer is now looking after that car and taking it fairly easy.
Well, interestingly enough, he's close back in on Julian Apostolos, so I wonder if there was a problem that caused him to slow, because 1.9 seconds, he's closed the gap up, hasn't he?
Yeah, a slow lap as well from Julian Apostolos, so he had a moment somewhere, did a 120.2. Whereas Marcus Pommer did a 118.5, which was 1.7 seconds the difference, which is why he's suddenly back on him. Still weaving around a bit, isn't he? Maybe Julian Apostolos is saying, well, no, I want you to get involved in a fight with me because I also want to win the championship. And if you tootle around on your own in 3rd, you're going to win the championship.
And Pommer's saying, hurry up, Julian, I don't want to have to pass you on the track. Oh, it's all games, isn't it? 90 seconds of timed racing remaining. Chiano Alazari has stopped opening up the gap at the front. He's just pegged it at a mere 48.8 seconds. Oh, gosh, is that all? Julian Apostolos, well, he can't see him up the road because he's half a lap ahead. But Apostolos in that 2nd place with Marcus Pommer filling his mirrors because he's got a bit closer. They cross the line again. It was 1.944 last time across the line, but Marcus Pommer looking pretty solid in that 3rd place. Sven Bart, Klaus Ablin and Danny Sufi just bringing what is clearly an ailing car home as best he can.
Yeah, really painful way to end the weekend and the championship for Danny Sufi. All looked good, didn't it, a couple of weeks ago before the Nürburgring, and it's just dropped off a cliff their season, unfortunately. Hopefully they'll come back and have another crack at it going forwards. But Chiano Alazari is going to round out an excellent season with a 2nd win of the year. And remember, he'd never driven any kind of prototype before the start of this season. It's been a fantastic effort from the young driver from Dubai. Julian Apostolos there in 2nd place. Marcus Pommer, though, in 3rd is the one, alongside his teammate Valentina Catalano, that he's now just about 4 kilometres or so away from picking up the championship, because the clock is about to tick down to 0. Chiano Alazari is already on the next lap, so the end of the lap will be completed then. The 1 more lap added on, so almost home now for Marcus Pommer and the championship in sight.
Team bosses around the world, take note of the name Chiano Alazari. This man is a superstar. This young driver who has been so strong here in Prototype Cup Germany has proven that he can win, and he looking like he's going to be stealing the headlines for this race. But the headlines for the season could well be going the way of Valentino Catalano and Marcus Pommer. They're still 50 seconds behind, and then they will be starting their final lap of the season and potentially the lap that will give them the championship of 2024. Chiano Alazzari a long way ahead of them into the final lap and into turn 2 for the very last time around the legendary turn 3, the Castrol Omega turn, and then it'll be up the hill towards turn 4, a little kink of turn 4, then to turn 5, the blind crest over the top into turn 6, and then downhill to turn 7 for the last time. Then a squirt of the accelerator out towards turn 8, and then it'll be the final climb up towards what will eventually be the waterfall. So into turn 8 he comes up the hill. It's a steep old hill here. Turn 9, another blind crest, turn 10, and then down towards the waterfall for the very last time. Chiano Alazzari, who has taken this race by the scruff of the neck and absolutely dominated it, into turn 12 for the very last time, and then the final climb up to turn 13. The last race of the season is going to be a win for Chiano Alazzari, weaving as he crosses the line, finishing the season in style, taking the top step of the podium. But now we have the wait, 52 seconds wait for Julian Apostolos and Riccardo Cirelli, the car number 8, to come home in second place. The car's been peeled off into the pit lane fairly quickly by the race stewards, but the race is still on. So car number 8, we're still waiting for Apostolos to cross the line, and more importantly, Marcus Pommer, Sven Bart, Klaus Abelin, Danny Sufi will have crossed the line because they're a lap down, but we're still waiting for this car here, Marcus Pommer, because he now is on the last lap, ready to clinch the championship. Marcus Pommer, the champion of last year, he won with Gary Hauser, but it's going to be a historic defense of the championship in Prototype Cup Germany. Ahead of him, Julian Apostolos crosses the line, but Marcus Pommer, Valentino Catalano are champions of 2024 in Prototype Cup Germany.
Yeah, well done to them. A double championship title for Marcus Pommer. They did everything they needed to do this weekend. They've been excellent all season long. But in the end, we've had, 15 points between the top 4 in the championship. And that tells us, Brian, that this has been a super close season, a really entertaining season of the Prototype Cup Germany. But destroying the field, it has to be said, in the last race of the season, Chiano Alazzari, who's already got out of the car and has got a cup of tea on the go before everybody else comes
He's
home.
on the podium, he's waiting.
Absolutely miles clear. Dominant performance. He has been super quick around what is a challenging circuit. His first time here racing at the Sachsenring as well. So well done, Chiano Alazzari, and good luck with the rest of your season in the Spanish F4 Championship. But a really excellent season for Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano, and they'll get onto the podium as well for the final race of the season. Excellent stuff in the Prototype Cup Germany.
And there is Valentino Catalano offering his condolences to Conrad Motorsport, who looked like they were going to take this championship, but in the end, it went the way of Gebhardt. Right, there's your classification. Chiano Alazzari about 3 days ahead of Julian Apostolos and Riccardo Cirelli, Marcus Pommer, Valentino Catalano, the last of the podium positions, but the important thing, enough points to clinch the championship ahead of Sven Bart, Michael Lyons, Klaus Abelin and Felipe Laza in 5th place, ahead of Danny Sufi and Torsten Kratz. It was heartbreak on the last weekend of the season for the Conrad Motorsport duo, Jakob Erlbacher, Maxim Dirks. Such a shame. Real dramas there. The car just couldn't make it. And Antti Ramo, the last of the runners. There is confirmation of the points. It's a 9-point win from Valentino Catalano and Marcus Pommer ahead of Danny Sufi and Torsten Kratz. And Sufi and Kratz will be thoroughly disappointed with that, but second place still a result. When we came into this season, we knew it was going to be close. We knew we weren't going to have massive grids of cars, but one thing has been for sure, the racing has been absolutely spectacular. And it just goes to show you don't need a massive grid of cars for great racing. Of the 3 seasons of Prototype Cup Germany that we've enjoyed, I would say this year has been by far the most entertaining. Such good racing. But that man there, Marcus Pommer, along with his co-driver, Valentino Catalano, they steal the headlines. Marcus Pommer, who won it last year with Gary Hauser. We knew when Valentino Catalano was going to join him, there were going to be a real combination. Julian Apostolos, the driver that we saw come through GT4, we've seen him in TCR Germany, along with Riccardo Cirelli, only just turned 16 years old and showing that he is a superstar in the making, as is the case for that man there. He was driving solo. He won the shootout for Mullner Motorsport. He beat 50 other drivers to that seat. You can see why, can't you? Keanu Alazzari taking his second win of the season in Prototype Cup Germany. There's Valentino Catalano. The relief. They won the season opener. They appeared on the podium another 6 times, but they waited until the end of the season to take the second win. It was yesterday. It moved into the top of the standings. The relief must be enormous. The rest of the cars coming into Parc Fermé, and we will get the drivers onto the grid, to the podium. We've had the grid. We're clearing the grid. So we're going to get them onto the podium in just a few moments. But the celebrations will probably continue some way through to probably about next April, where we hope that the Prototype Cup Germany is going to be back once again. A new formula for LMP3 for next year, and we're going to be looking at the websites and all the news outlets to see what will occur with Prototype Cup Germany. But certainly Creventic, in association with the ADAC, have done a fantastic job promoting this championship this year. Of course, at the Nürburgring, we also had the wonderful addition of Ralf and David Schumacher, who took those back-to-back wins that really raised the profile of this championship as well. But it has been pure entertainment all season long. We've had so many different winners as well. We've had 2 wins from Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi. We've had 2 wins from Riccardo Cirelli and Julian Apostolos. That was at the Hockenheim Ring. Antti Ramo, the bronze-rated driver, took a win. We've now had 2 from Keanu Alazzari, Felipe Laza, Klaus Abelin also taking the top step of the podium. But it was the 2 wins for Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano that clinched that championship. It went all the way down to the wire. He even gave us a fright in the last 5 minutes. I can't help feeling that Marcus Pommer is playing with all of us, but he did what needed to be done, and he got the number 70 car across the line to take that championship win. And now, as the silence falls across the Sachsenring circuit, we've still got more racing to come here today, but we want to do this podium ceremony if we possibly can. A large crowd of people here have been gathered, part of the DTM weekend here. We've enjoyed Porsche 6th Carrera Cup Germany as well. We've enjoyed the next generation cars that have been showing us very much the future, electric-powered future. Something quite opposite, the noise and the smell and the ground shaking of Prototype Cup Germany. Always a pleaser with the crowds. So we're just waiting. Lovely shots of the beautiful Saxony countryside as the drivers make their way up onto the podium. In theory, there's a lot of posing for photographs as far as I can tell. But we will hopefully see them in a few minutes. We don't have a calendar for next year yet. Lots of decisions are being made and lots of excitement. Right, there's the podium. We just need some people to come and stand on it now, don't we? We had the wonderful sight at Nürburgring of David Schumacher and Ralf Schumacher drinking their own champagne. It was Schumacher champagne on the podium, and they got to spray that. So we gather, we wait, and hopefully we will see our 1, 2, 3 coming through onto the podium very shortly. Keanu Alazzari, well, his focus will turn towards Formula 4 Spain now. He's won 4 races in that championship this year. He leads the championship. There's Toby Shimon. He looks after the fan TV around the ADAC there. We're sending it right back to you there. So Toby and his cameraman just giving us a bit of entertainment. We need some entertainment here. So Toby is the face of Fan TV. I was about to tell you about Keanu Alazzari, who Yes, leading the Formula 4 Championships in Spain. Real superstar there. He's had 4 wins, showing how adaptable he is. You can see the next-gen cars coming out now. Another load of young drivers coming through the ranks just to bother all the old veterans. So the cars have been very entertaining here this weekend. Very close racing. They're just coming out on the track and they'll be lining up on the grid. I believe, can you watch that online? Is it all available online? So yes, keep looking. Just Google Next Gen, NXTGEN, and you'll be able to watch their racing, which is coming up next. And I guarantee you will be entertained. These young drivers are fearless. Right, here we are. I would say the cool-down area. There's Riccardo Cirelli at the top of your picture in the pink overalls. And that is Valentina Catalana, clearly giving an interview to the local press as we speak. We'd like to get you on the podium because I've got a flight to catch, if possible, please. And the rest of the drivers, no doubt, in the background. And we'll wait for Toby to announce them in just a few moments. Riccardo Cirelli, who you see at the top of your screen there, I said just 16 years old. 4 years ago, he asked Peter Mucker if he could sit in one of his Formula 4 cars. Well, his mum asked him, and he said, yeah, sure. They stayed in contact. Look what happened. He's now driving one of his cars, bringing it home. Race winner, 2 times race winner. He is another of the drivers that we're looking out for who will be coming through the ranks in the future. It's a lovely T-shirt, isn't it? They're Dick Dastardly and Muttley in the background there. Yes, lots of talent. Here comes the star of the moment. Finally, he's got himself together, climbed up to the podium. There is Chiara Alazari with a Michelin hat on the right-hand side. And there is Marcus Pommer as well. Thanks for joining us, chaps. No hurry, honest. Get the overalls on, make sure everyone can see who the sponsors are. And right, we will very shortly be bringing these drivers out on to the podium. I've been saying that for the last 10 minutes, haven't I? And we will get to see them. And there will be the celebrations that will commence. Right, the dulcet tones of Toby Shimon now about to introduce our drivers onto the podium. 3rd place, Marcus Pommer, Valentina Catalana. They're not just celebrating 3rd place. They're celebrating something much, much bigger. 2nd place, Julian Apostolos, Riccardo Cirelli. They were championship challengers all season long. Didn't quite bring it home, but very much there or thereabouts all season long. And the man who is taking the headlines, Chiara Alazari. What an incredible, dominant performance from the driver from the UAE. And the winning junior driver is Chiara Alazari as well. So he'll get an extra trophy for all his troubles. And then a representative, it's Klaus Abelin, the legendary Klaus Abelin with hat. He doesn't go anywhere without that hat. That will be on his head before too long. He won in the trophy race. And a representative, Gebhardt Motorsport, for the winning team. No, so Molnar Motorsport, beg your pardon, for the winning team. Right, enough of this nonsense. We need a national anthem. Brilliant stuff. Just reflecting on what has been a wonderful season in Prototype Cup Germany. Right, Peter Weidinger, member of the board for Sport ADAC in this area in Saxony, presenting yet another trophy to Chiara Alazari. He's going to need a wheelbarrow to get that lot home with him after this weekend. Michael Sash, Managing Director, ADAC Saxon, presenting Riccardo Cirelli and Julian Apostolos their second place trophies. Pommer and Catalana, well, they'll appreciate the third-place trophies that will be presented by Ines Springer, member of the board for Transport ADAC Saxon, but they will be thinking about the much bigger trophy that is going to be taking pride of place on their respective mantelpieces, because they are the champions of 2024. Another trophy for Keanu Al-Azhari for winning in the Junior Championship. Klaus Abelin should be the next one to get a trophy for winning in the Trophy Championship in this race from Andre Rudolph. And the winning team, last to get a trophy, that going to Mulner Motorsport. The team that do such a good job spotting the young talents, putting them in a seat. They're going to do the shootout again in 2025, hopefully in the USA, and we'll see who the successor to Keanu Al-Azhari is going to be, who is the next superstar. We will take notice because they know how to spot the talent. The photos are taken, and soon the celebrations will start. The celebrations will continue into the night, probably into tomorrow and beyond for many of these drivers, but especially for Valentina Catalana and Marcus Pommer, because they are the champions of 2024 for the Prototype Cup Germany. It is Antti Ramo who wins the Trophy Championship. It's Danny Sufi who wins the Junior Championship as well. It has been a very entertaining season, from the snow of Spa-Francorchamps to the boiling hot sunshine of the Sachsenring for the season closer. I do hope you've enjoyed it. I do hope you're going to join us again in 2025 when the LMP3 cars, we hope, will be vibrating their way around the circuits that the ADAC program. Thank you for joining us, everybody who's joined us throughout the season, from myself, Brian Oliver, Chris Hartley, who have been bringing you the commentary for most of the races, as we now look at the champions, Marcus Pommer, Valentina Catalano, who celebrate on the top step of the podium. At one point, it looked out of reach, but they clawed it back. They kept their heads at the critical time, and now they celebrate along with the team at Gebhardt Motorsport. The cars are on the grid for the next gen, so we need to clear the podium fairly quickly, because we've got a lot of fast electric cars coming. We'll see you next year. Bye-bye.